Thank you, settlement and guns. Coming.
Hey guys. Book. God damn it, I fucking hate doing these so much. You know that I have a book. You know that I'm on tour. You can get all that information at BertCast.com. Damn it, just do the podcast already. Today's guest, artist, comedian, actor, friend, Kevin Christy. Fuck!
This is Bertcast.
I think that's pretty good. That sounds good to me.
Oh, dude, they gave you the cue cards from the Late Show. That is so boss.
Yeah, that is. That's like I was always when I was a young comic, you go into like people's office and they'd have cue cards from like Carson or something.
Yeah.
And I was always like, God, that guy's handwriting is so great. And I always wished. Do you have nice handwriting?
I do.
I bet you do.
I have exquisite handwriting.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Did you do? I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know if you did or didn't. Did you do Tripley's cover?
No.
Who did Tripley's cover?
I don't know. Yeah, it came out really good.
Yeah,
the type looks good.
I liked. By the way, I'm not to start off my podcast talking about Sam Tripley, but go get his album.
Yeah,
why not? He's
Dude,
fucking
it's #2 on iTunes. So cool.
Can I tell you? I bought it, and in my head, I'm nervous to listen to it because I love Sam.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what if I feel like he hasn't grown much as an artist? What if I feel like? What if he says one joke that's close to mine, and I've got to lose it?
Yeah.
What if like all this within fucking 2 tracks, I'm on the fucking 134 laughing hysterically going, God damn it, man, I never really paid attention to my pacing.
It's so fun to watch your friends get great.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing. When you see your friends get good and they surprise you, because you've known them all forever, and then all of a sudden you see them, you haven't watched their sets, you don't watch your friends' sets a lot of time, and then all of a sudden you watch them, you're like, fucking you motherfucker.
It's fascinating.
It's so fun.
His Sam's pacing is so murderous.
Yeah.
His pacing is set to keep you doubled.
Yeah.
Like his rate of utterance is, I crush Asian pussy.
Yeah.
My son's be balls deep in Asian pussy. I fucking just it's aggressive and it's awesome and it's what I love about him.
Yeah.
And it's like if I could have maybe 10 years ago or whenever I met Sam, maybe it was probably like it's probably 10 years ago. If I could go back to 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and say, hey, listen, my favorite joke you have is this. Can you keep doing more of that so that in 10 years you get amazing at it?
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah.
Because like my favorite joke one of my favorite jokes ever was his playing basketball at the YMCA with the chick.
I've never heard that one.
Oh
man.
I almost want to call him and have him do the bit. It was like he was like
Sam would do it on the phone.
He's like, now let's see if we can get Tripley to do it. Do it real quick. And then I'll release this one early, and we'll still try to pump his. I can't fucking. In the Mancave, Kevin Christy. I'm sorry, God damn it. Let's see if we can fucking call Tripley and get him to do a bit.
Podcasts are funny because it's a part of show business for people that are in no way qualified to run the technical side of show business.
I have him saved under Samuel Tripley.
Is he a Samuel even? We don't know.
No, because he's like Persian, right? Or Armenian.
Sammy?
It's got to be like after some. I don't even know what Armenians are really.
Well, Russian. It's Russian.
Is it a former Russian?
It's right near Russia. It's in the Caucasus Mountains of Russia.
Is
Armenia
it really?
is, Russia.
We're not getting an answer from Tripley. I was probably looking at his iTunes ranking.
If I was ranked on iTunes like that, I'd be looking at it constantly.
You know what's so funny is like right when anyone's podcast comes out, it ranks fairly high. Mm-hmm. I should probably just hang up. Maybe he'll call back. We'll get him to do the bit. Guys, it's called Believe in Yourself.
Yeah, Believe in Yourself.
Go to go get it on iTunes.
Yeah, get it.
I'll release this one beginning of next week so that everyone so that you can stay up on the rankings. Guess who's on the phone, everybody? We got a caller. Sam.
Yo, bud.
It's Bert. I'm with Kevin Christy. We're doing my podcast, and I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to tell him a joke that you had, and I was going to see if you could tell the joke to him.
What's the joke?
Do you remember about playing basketball with the chick at the YMCA?
Oh, yeah. I used to play ball with these chicks all the time, and they were, like, really rough. And then when they were on offense, everyone let them go, and I thought that was sexist, so every time you would just go down the lane, I would ring their bell, dude. I was throwing elbows. I was knocking people out. I mean, passed me the ball. I was all alone on an island on 5-on-5.
Hey, we were just talking about your album on my podcast. I'm releasing this. I'll release this beginning of next week. But we were just talking about how great it is, Sam. You really did a fucking great job,
yeah, man.
Dude, thank you so much for tweeting it. I really do appreciate it. It's done amazingly well, and it's all based on that I have some very good friends who are nice enough to tweet it for me. So I'm very appreciative that you're even talking about it. So thank you, dude.
No, man, you have me doubled. Like I literally wish that I had the phrase "crush Asian pussy" in my act. I was like,
if you put in Sam Tripley and Craig Kilborn, I do that joke on Craig Kilborn. I did a whole set with him of just basketball almost, because I knew he loved basketball. I just want to see if I can make it. So I'm making fun of black people and just basically throttling white chicks on national television.
dude, I gotta get you on the podcast.
You let me know anytime, dude. I'd love to come by and hang out.
I'll text you, brother. I'm gonna talk to Kevin. I'll talk to you later, okay?
You're the best. Take care, guys.
All right, see
Later,
ya.
man.
Yeah, Tripley's a great guy. Wait, when did you start hanging out at the Comedy Store?
I guess around a little over 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
You've got you were one of the people that I discovered via podcasting.
Right.
Like I listened to you, I think, on Marin's.
Yeah.
And your story was so fucking fascinating. You literally showed up to an audition to hang out with a friend.
Yeah.
And then by route of someone saying, "Well, you look good for it."
Yeah, I got discovered, basically. Like, I had the easy, when people ask me, like, how do I get an agent? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I can't help.
Yeah.
And I admit, I'm like, look, I got super lucky and was able to just kind of hang on and learn and to be able to stay in the business for a while until I learned how to be effective. But I initially, the way I got in was very lucky. You know, people were just around and wanted to help me. And we're encouraging. They're like, hey, you could probably do this, so why don't you just try? You've always been like kind of funny and like annoying, so why don't you just maybe try to do it as a job?
It was so fucking interesting. And you were an illustrator.
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah.
So wait, let's start back, because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with drawing.
Right.
I'm still obsessed with drawing.
Okay.
And I meant to show you this. Isla is my youngest. I really think, and I'm going to show it to you, and you're going to be like, oh yeah. She's got a stoner's view for drawing.
Oh, really?
She drew the Lava Boy, and it was just this lava guy that lives in lava.
Yeah.
And it was so bizarre. And she drew it, then cut it out, put it on a picture she had, then drew on that, and then mixed the two.
Kids, I saw some quote where, like, as an artist, as an adult artist, you're just trying to get back to what you were like as a kid.
Yeah.
Because their brains, in the realm of just art creating, their brains are so much better, it's not even relatively close. Like, when you just hear a kid describe, they're like, he lives in this mountain that's made of lava, but also it makes chocolate on Wednesdays, and then the chocolate goes to this factory and they sell it, and then that's what the money they use to, like, harvest the bunny farm so all the bunnies can have a place to live. And you're like, you're a fucking genius. And, like, that's some cartoon like, that's Adult Swim. Literally, Adult Swim is people that have been able to tap into their child mind. Because your child brain is When I notice this when I draw, there's like, I call it invisible dad, because there's like, when I'm drawing something, there's a part of me that's like, try to draw it as good as you can. Because like, you hear your dad like, that's a well-drawn hand. You can really see the structure, when like, that doesn't really matter necessarily.
Yeah.
But like, you get trained to think in those terms as you get older. Like, I'll make it look like you've been trained and make it look like a well-drawn thing, like a master drawing, like the Renaissance. Whereas like, a really good kid's drawing is way fucking better. Like, my friend is starting a podcast, and he wanted me to do his logo. He's like, I was thinking it'd be funny if I had my nephew do it. I was like, you should definitely have your nephew do it.
I was going to have Isla in Georgia. I wanted a logo, and Georgia drew that Bert up there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what's so funny? You'd actually, like, it looks a little artsy, a little hippie, like a little weird.
I could fuck around all day, and you'd be like, I want it to look like a kid do it. And I would do it. There'd be something missing that has that I don't.
Yeah, like, it's so interesting is that you look at it and I wanted I was going to have, like, I've tried maybe fucking 10 years I want a shirt that says it's a bear and it says marshmallow. I want that shirt. I want to sell it at shows.
Okay.
So I fought a bear, and the only way you got out of fighting the bear is that it was the safe word marshmallow. It's a good story,
Yeah.
but I've never been able to do it, and I've never been able to do it. And I was.
Wait, I mean, you can't draw it?
No, no, I'm a horrible drawer.
Bears
But then I
are
was
so
like,
easy to draw.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a mound.
Yeah, well,
like an old brown
what I ended
oval.
up doing was, and by the way, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with tracing.
Oh, yeah.
I was
That's how we all learn.
Yeah,
I used to trace Garfield
really?
all the time. Yeah. I had tracing paper, and I would trace Garfield comics because that's how I really liked them, and I couldn't draw them right. So I would trace them, and that's how you kind of learn the muscle memory.
Yeah,
Of just like how to do it.
I would trace football books.
Okay.
Of like people and like I'd get them out of the library,
Yeah.
anything with football pictures,
Yeah.
and I'd trace that picture. And I had the board where it glue behind it,
Uh-huh.
and you'd put the thing down, and then the paper on top of it,
Yeah.
and I would say, and Leanne, my wife, makes fun of me for tracing because what happened was as a kid I had anxiety. I didn't know that, but drawing would calm me down,
Yeah.
and it would get me out of my head.
That's why I still do it. I mean, I draw all the time for jobs and stuff, but like when there's something to, I feel safer drawing than any other place in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Now wait, how do you find many connections with drawing and stand up or acting?
They're similar. I mean, the thought process is similar. The execution isn't similar. The thought process of like the deconstruction process is really similar. Like looking at an idea from all sides and kind of picking it apart and trying to see it from all the angles.
Do you find that you get out of your way similar in drawing and acting and stand up?
I notice I'm the same amount as objective with all of them. Like I'm way better at like helping someone else with their joke as opposed to like working on my own. Same with my art. Like I used to substitute teach at the college I went to, and like I could tell someone what to take out of a thing really easily, but I'll stare at my own stuff forever and ever and ever and ever. Like I don't have the same. It's all pretty similar, to be honest with you. Like that's why I never felt like I had to justify doing any of them. Like, or explain why I was doing more than one thing, because they all felt relatively similar to me. The kind of way that you make ideas, it all just seemed like idea making, and you just pick which way you want to do it. Like, if certain ideas aren't going to work for a drawing, but they may work as a joke. Certain ideas are things you can use in acting that you can't use in stand-up. So it's just like, where does this thing I notice feel the most appropriate, and I just put it there.
It's interesting. I would watch like Bob Ross, and whenever he'd go to add something, I'd automatically go, "Don't do that! You're gonna fuck it up."
Yeah.
But my stand up is totally different. I'm always adding shit.
Yeah.
I'm adding shit to the point where it's just a Bob Ross painting covered in fucking charcoal and spit and semen, and I'm like, oh my god.
I listened to a Jeselnik interview, and he was talking about how he had this joke where like he was literally like, you don't need any more words, and you couldn't take any. If you took any words out, the joke wouldn't work anymore. Like that, he really looked at it as like this efficiency, like the way a joke was written.
That's
like,
really interesting.
He's like, you could add words, but you don't need them. But if you took any of the words out, the joke doesn't make sense anymore. And I was like, oh, that's fucking. Like, I don't think that way.
I don't think that way either. And I think that I wish I had an economy of words.
Yeah, I do that thing where like, especially when you're doing a new bit and it's doing well. And you should just stop, and you just stand up there and you milk it. You're like, right, and then you start fucking tagging.
You're like, this can go so much further than
you're like, it's such bullshit, and you just because you want to keep.
Yeah. That's really fascinating because I do that. I do the milking of it. And once I've got I remember I did Kimmel, and I sat with my manager at the time, and he kind of helped me shave down what was important to the bit.
Yeah,
and then I did it on stage, and it really destroyed. And I did it on Kimmel, and it killed. And then I brought it back on stage. I was like, well, this is a really short bit.
Yeah.
I've got to start writing more, or I can just make it long again.
Short. That's the thing, short. I just did basically my first TV set last week, this Adam Devine's house party thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was super fun.
Adam Devine is one of my favorite people.
Such a fucking good dude.
He's not fucking... I think he's got the perfect amount of. I mean, I don't know how famous he is. I'm sure he's pretty
to young people.
famous.
That dude's pretty famous.
Yeah, but like he didn't seem it to me.
No,
like he seemed like very real, and I knew him. He used to work at the Improv.
Yeah,
And so
The first time I met him was at the Improv, and he had like double eye infections. He had done like a Taco Bell commercial, and they put a bunch of weird makeup in his eye, and his eyes had like reacted to it. He didn't say he was so happy to have the job. He didn't say like, "Ow, this hurts, stop." His eyes were borderline swollen shut, and so he literally was like this. It's like he had double pink eye.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Look, my eyes don't look like this all the time." And I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" He was like, "Yeah, I didn't say anything." I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna get another commercial. Like if they hurt you, you can say stop."
I was in New Orleans, and I'm sitting with a guy I haven't seen in probably 10 years. One of my best friends growing up, and I'm with the whole production crew that I just met. That is now my production crew for Trip Flip.
Right.
But this is like 2 years ago, probably 3 years ago, and we're sitting there, and Workaholics had just come out, and I see him and not Durs, but Blake.
Yeah.
I see them walking down the street, and now this is by the way, I'm very honest about ego, but here's the part that like in my head I'm like, I know he's a stand-up, and I know I'm a stand-up, and I know I've been doing it longer, and I wonder, and I don't know, I know he's very famous right now, but I wonder if he knows me, but
Right.
and those are all the thoughts I want to say, but what I just wanted to say, what I just said was, "Hey, I'm Bert," and he looked and he was like, "Bert."
Yeah.
And they came up and they came drinking with us. And he's like, I worked at the Improv. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I mean, this is, like, by the way, this is someone who's on a very famous TV show. He's like, this is like one of my dreams to drink beers with you. And I'm like, huh, because I'm a big fan of your show.
That's what, like, is so great. It's like how, okay, I bugged you the other day. I was like, did you get a new Rolex?
Yeah.
And it's because all of us are just little dirt bags. And so when someone, like, because I remember Adam is the guy with double eye infections.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when he gets famous and successful, it's the greatest. Me and my friend Jerry, one of my best friends, he was Turtle on Entourage. And, and he came from, like, he's from Brooklyn, like, very middle class, lower middle class. I grew up here in La Crescenta.
Oh, that's right.
And but like I refer to us all as dirt people.
Yeah.
Where we never had any plan on being successful really at all.
Yeah.
Certainly not getting on television on any, like, why would, like, none of us are terribly good looking.
Yeah.
Like, we're all just jerks, or like and none of us planned on getting success. And then we woke up one day, we were on TV, and we're just like, what the fuck? And then, like, maybe we got a little money and we don't know what to do with it on any level. So maybe we're smart enough to buy a house, but we give it to our friends and shit like morons, and then we buy all this fancy shit. It's the funniest thing to me in the world. Whitney, same thing. Just dirt. We're just dirt people, just like basically street urchins. And they're like, here, we'll be on television. We're like, what the fuck? And it tickles me to such a degree because, in a weird way, it's same like I was saying with the art thing. Adam still is like a kid with money.
Yeah.
And there's something so great about it where we don't act like normal successful. I'm not rich at all, but like the ones who get rich, they don't act like normal rich people. They're way better. They're like more fun. They're like, dude, I bought all these water slides. And you're like,
it's like we two things that I will back end on that. Colin Quinn at last year's Montreal.
Yeah.
He was like, hey,
yeah, I saw that.
You
I was
fucking
there.
Chintzers, tip your. I don't know if Chintzers a racial slur, by the way. You Chintzers, I think it's Chintzy. Tip your fucking feature acts. Do you remember what it was like when you didn't have the fucking money?
Yeah.
And now you got the money. Don't fucking forget it. Tip. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, and in my head, I was like, I don't think I've been tipping enough.
Yeah.
Like, and then I was like, I don't know. Sometimes tipping isn't like the first thing on my, like back then, especially.
Yeah.
It was like I never made sure. Now I'm making sure. Oh, go around and tip everyone because it does make a fucking huge difference.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, we rented. This is what you just said. Slides. We rented one of those huge 3-story water slides that you put in your front yard. The kids were. It's only like $250.
Yeah, yeah. Like
I was like,
that's the thing. You have the money to have a bouncy house in your backyard every single day of the week.
Fucking day. Every fucking day.
Like you have a beautiful what I think is a rose gold Rolex.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. I'm not going to tell the people how much it costs. I know exactly how much it costs. I want one really bad. It's fucking great looking. It's the same watch President Eisenhower wore. You know, like my friend Max Greenfield is on New Girl, and he threw out the first pitch at Dodger Stadium, and he invited me, so we went. It was fucking great. It was so cool. We're in the dugout, like freaking out, but also. All like the owners came down to meet him. They all were wearing your exact watch, but they're a bunch of fat, like red-faced, annoying dudes who are just like, "Hey, what's it gonna like?" You're like, "Oh man, you're the worst!" And they're all wearing like LL Bean khakis, and they have the same watch, but like you got the exact same thing from just being a dope. That's the best.
Fucking jumping off buildings.
Literally,
Yeah.
It's the best. It's such a fucking. It's such an end around to the system.
I was working with.
You've never looked at a spreadsheet seriously. You maybe looked at it and were like, I don't get this.
I've only done one spreadsheet my entire life, and that's when I sell books. I figured out how to do a spreadsheet so people would type their email addresses in.
And you're probably so proud of yourself. Something
I
that's
emailed it, and I go, I think I saved it on my desktop.
someone does that all day long.
Yeah.
And they're great at it, and they hate every second. You're like, looky, I did a spready.
Wait, what was I just gonna say to you? Oh fuck. I'm talking to. I want to say I'm going to credit the right guy. Hopefully, I'm talking to Mike Merrifield, and I was going through that exact same thing where I was like, man, I said something. I was like, I always wanted a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. Like, why don't I just get? I can buy one. Mm-hmm. Why don't I go get one?
Because you have kids, so you can't
dirt
get
bike.
one.
Yeah, and then he goes, whoa. He was like very honest. He was like, I always thought by this time in my life I'd have an ATV. And he's like, my wife left me. I don't see my kids enough. I'm getting a fucking ATV.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in his apartment, just an ATV. Why the fuck not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm like. I am single. I'm divorced. I'm basically only responsible for myself.
Yeah.
So like, if I want, I buy at night at like 2 a.m. I buy skateboard T-shirts, and I buy skate stickers, and I buy skateboard decks. And I'm 37 years old. I don't skateboard anymore because every time I get a job, if I break my arm, they'll sue me.
Yeah.
Yet in my house right now, there are 9 skateboard decks that I bought, and then 50 that I designed. And I'm such an idiot. I was like, you can just pay me in decks.
Yeah. I buy knives nonstop.
Oh, you mean like these carrying like a spider coat? Yeah, I saw that. What's up with that?
That's my spider coat.
Yeah, dope.
Is that
No, I have I got this black Leatherman at a skate shop.
This is my spider coat. This is like I have so many fucking knives.
Yeah,
I just buy
nice.
knives everywhere I go.
Oh, that's a good one.
I fucking and I do it on because it helps. I remember where I got them from.
Okay.
But I go and.
Don't go to the shows. You'll end up picking up a Nazi pamphlet on accident.
I had someone come to one of my shows and give me a knife. He's like, I know you're a fan of knives. Here, I got this for you. I was like, oh
sweet.
I was like, let me give you a shirt. Let me sign you up for a book. I'll give you a book for free.
Dude.
The best thing about having kids is I was like, God, I want a fucking
knives.
I want a shortboard. Because I have longboards. I think it should be right under here.
Yeah, your longboard's under
My
there.
longboard's right under there. And I was like, I want a shortboard. And I was like, fuck it. You know who wants a shortboard? Isla. Isla, that's good for her grooming. She's into art.
Yeah.
So I went up.
Skateboarding is good to get into just in general. Because Seinfeld said it on that fucking Comedians and Cards with Chris Rock.
Did you hear what Attell called it?
No.
Millionaires wearing seatbelts.
God, Attell is the fucking... You can't ever beat that guy.
No.
But he was watching Seinfeld while they saw some skaters while they're in the car, and he goes, every time I see a skateboarder, I see how many times it takes for them to get the trick right, and I go, that kid's going to be all right. Yeah. Because it just takes forever. To land a kickflip, I've landed one. I'm 37.
I started skateboarding. When I was a kid, I started skateboarding. The first skateboard I got was a Billy Ruff.
Oh, yeah. GNS Billy Ruff.
And I was like, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
This is it. And this will redefine me. And I learned how to skate on a quarter pipe.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. And then I think Pussy showed up. And I was like, all right, fuck skateboarding. I'll skate. And then like halfway through high school, my buddies Cayman and Alan, they were like, oh, skateboarding is still cool. We surf.
Yeah.
And so I was like, fuck yeah, we're going back into skateboarding. And then I go to New York. I'm in New York, and there's a skate shop right around from my apartment, and my buddy Weicho goes, hey, let's get longboards. And I bought this longboard in New York, and we go up to Central Park, and we would fucking bomb that bitch.
Dude.
I mean, fast as fuck.
When you're rolling faster than you can run, that's when it gets hilarious and fun.
Yes.
That's the thing. When you're doing something you can't normally do, it's like that's when it gets fun. Skateboarding, to me, was so important because first of all, it kept me from caring about team sports.
Oh, let me tell you something. Independence in life. Team sports is important and it's great, but the independent skateboarding provides you to be in your own head.
My Little League coach was like, tried to get me to not skateboard. So that was the first, and my elementary school principal banned skateboards at school. And so we would leave them at my friend's house. We live right near the school, and then she tried to get the mom to not do that. So that was like my first sense of like rebelliousness.
Yeah.
Where I was like, fuck this. Like, it's just a fucking skateboard, but they were like so anti, and I was like, fuck this lady. Like, it made me feel cool, made me feel a little rebellious, made me feel unique and like different, and like it was so. And the thing about skateboarding is it's a self-starting thing. There's no team. There's no one like, oh, you got to go do this stuff. You go out with your friends. You decide to do whatever tricks you decide to do. You only get as good as you decide to get. It's like stand-up. It's really just you deciding to be as good as you want. It's up to you. And I think it's and the art thing. I mean, that's the thing. When I was a kid, nothing was as cool as there was nowhere you could put a drawing that was as cool as on a skateboard.
Oh, dude, skateboard art redefined art for me. I started drawing. Was it what was the goblet? Was that the Billy Ruff one with the goblet with the bubbles pouring out? I want to say it was Billy Ruff.
Goblet bubbles pouring out. That might have been Tom Knox.
There was Jodie Foster's Army was the first insignia I saw where I was like, that's fucking badass.
Yeah.
We used to draw surf. I mean, the big thing for us when we were growing up in Florida was to draw the perfect wave on
Rick Griffin.
Yeah, and draw it on your notebook. I'm trying to find. I'm almost certain it's a Billy Ruff, but I'll show you the picture because it's a goblet, and it's and it was like I remember
a goblin,
a goblet.
So he's holding a cup with bubbles coming out.
Skateboard. I'll show you. It was a skeleton hand.
Oh shit!
And it was pouring out
bubbles.
It was pouring out like wine. Images.
When I skateboard art was I used to get the Bones Brigade newsletter.
Holy shit! Seriously?
And because it was full of drawings.
This is it. God damn it! It's this one. Here it's coming up.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck, dude! You see?
That was my board.
That thing is so dope. The yellow trucks. And real screen printing. That's the one thing skateboard graphics lack now. They don't screen print it's a different process.
I just loved the way that was represented with his name in like a big bubble in the center, and the bubbles of the wine get bigger and bigger and bigger to the center.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that and going like, fuck. I mean, we had to drive to like Temple Terrace to go get skateboards because that was the only skateboard shop.
Yeah.
And I would sit and just look at decks like almost like
they were the most beautiful. The colors are bright. They're on wood. The ink stands up.
Yeah.
They just fucking jump out at you and are like, this is cool. Like, that's the thing. It was the first thing I'd ever seen that was visuals like, okay, that's cool. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's fucking cool as shit. And I want to do that. And it was like, okay, I'm going to draw. Like, I could draw. So I was like, no, I'm going to draw stuff like that. So I would just copy graphics all the time. And I couldn't even deal with how cool some of that shit was. I still look at that stuff today, and I'm like, this stuff is great. Yeah. These guys were going for it. Because it was really tapped into kind of the culture of the people. And it was just like weirdos. It was just like, one of my favorite things on the internet right now is Jeff Grosso's love letters to skateboarding. Jeff Grosso's an 80s skateboarder, skated for Santa Cruz, like heroin addict, then got sober. Now he just makes these like short YouTube videos on vans. And it's called Love Letters to Skateboarding, and they're super specific, and he's kind of like this grizzled old dude. Like, he did a whole episode just about fakies, and then a whole episode about gimmicks, a whole episode about like, it's so specific, and he knows what's up, so he'll tell you who invented the trick. And it's always like, apparently Dave Andrecht invented it, but I've heard some other stories. Like, now, fuck that. They're all just like, because all of them are like mid-40s, early 50s, and they're a little, they're super blue collar, and there was no money. All the money went away. So they're just normal dudes, and I love hearing people talk about someone like, you go like, no, you don't understand. At the time, like, him and Tony Hawk were like, what were the best skate teams? And these were teams I'd never even heard of. They weren't like, oh, Santa Cruz, Palo Peralta. They were like, the Hobie team. You're like, what? The Hobie team. And their names, they're like Jim Griffin. And those guys were at the top. You're like, who the fuck are these people?
Yeah.
But it's the same. It's like when you hear comics talking about names that
when
you
they
don't
talk about
recognize.
old Boston comics.
Yeah.
We just Fitzsimmons will be on a podcast soon.
Yeah.
I just had him in, and we did like an exchange where Fitzsimmons was leaving, you walked in, but Fitzsimmons was in here talking about these old Boston comics I had never heard of.
Yeah. Well, even at the store, there's like guys. You're like, no, you don't get it. Like back in the day, James Painter in the OR before he gave up stand-up.
Prater.
Yeah, you're like, dude, you don't know. Like, Painter used to crush in a way that no one wanted to deal with.
I usually walk out on stage and I'll kill a beer on stage. And someone's like, Ollie Joe used to kill 6.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, excuse
I go,
me?
who the fuck's Ollie Joe?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, you don't know who Ollie Joe Prater is? I go, I have no idea. And I want to say, I'm sure this is incorrect, but that I got hooked up with his daughter, or that he has a daughter, or something, or she emailed me,
right?
Or someone was like, I forget. I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't remember. But I go, he used to kill 6, so I went and I bought his album, and I listened to his album, and I'm like, wow, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
But apparently he used to borrow material.
Okay.
So, and I think that was like, but like that's the old folklore of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure fucking Marin would tell you.
But it's just that, like, you hear. I remember once I was talking to Claudia Lano, whose stepdad is Mark Lano, who started all the improvs or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, it was one of Comedy Central put out their greatest of all time list or something. And I was like, kind of like, oh, this and this. She goes, well, Kevin, the thing is, you don't really know what you're talking about. And she goes, I don't mean that like to be like a dick. She's like, but you weren't really there. And she was like, you don't understand. Because she goes, in the 90s at the Improv, no one was better than Dana Gould. She goes, everyone was like, this
talks
guy.
About Dana Gould.
She goes, apparently in the 90s at the Improv, when he was really doing a ton of stand-up back then, nobody was as funny. And the thing is, Dana Gould is a once-in-a-generation comedic mind.
Yeah.
You can see when you see his stand-up, you're like, oh, it's the style of The Simpsons. Like, his ripple effect is so broad. But, like, unless you're really there, and I was like, oh, you're right, I don't. I wasn't there. Yeah. In the same way she was like, well, yeah, you don't know what's going on at the store. She's like, what's going on there? I don't know. She's like, you don't really know what you're talking about because
I don't know what's going on at the store. I wish I hung out more, but I feel like I don't have time. I feel like I'm writing on stage on the road, and I may be writing a generation behind me. Like I don't know where people are writing, but I go, fuck it, it's just what I do.
Yeah, I mean the store's really interesting now because it's so different than it's ever been.
Really?
It's kind of inadvertently become the only club that's like still kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because they're letting people do podcasts there, and it's like there's a lot. That roast battle thing is cool.
What's
On
that?
Tuesdays they have a roast battle where comics literally like real comics challenge each other to a roast, and like Bill Burr judged and fucking like Jeff Ross, they like judge these roast battles. You should judge it. And it's like
I'm not gonna
there's just a lot of these little things happening that are actually cool, and there's a great group of young comics there, and but we're all kind of like it's all together. There's no like, and everyone's like, it's nicer. It's not like it was when I first got there, where it was like kind of dark and not doing well. Like everyone's it's kind of doing okay.
Wait, when did you get there first?
This is like I probably got there like 2002.
Okay.
And it was not in a good spot.
Really?
I mean, there was an open mic 3 days of the week because the crowds were so small, and like the comics, you had the beginnings of what are the really good comics now on the lineups, and then people that have now don't do stand-up anymore. Like they were leftovers from like the late 80s, late 90s.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And they were just not great. They didn't make it, and they weren't going to. But you had like very young Caparillo, young Sebastian, young Renazizi, Ari, people like that were good, but not as good as they are now. And they were kind of slowly becoming the main presence there, but weren't getting a ton of spots. And so it was mostly the culture there at the time was all about the open mic nights.
Really?
Yeah, the employees were really important back then because it was like the employees were like Ari, Renazizi, Steve Simone, and it was like in a weird way they were in charge of the culture. Duncan was like the booker. Duncan made the lineups.
You realize how fucking surreal that is.
Yeah, Duncan made the lineups and was doing that thing where he'd say Mitzi made the lineups, but that was the case.
Yeah.
And so they were in charge of the Comedy Store at that time, which made it really, really fun and free. You could do whatever you wanted all the time, and there were no consequences 100% of the time. You could bomb every single time you went up, and no one cared.
Really?
It was great.
Now, what got you into stand-up? What was the...
I mean, I'd always wanted to do stand-up, but I didn't know any comedians. And even though I grew up here, I had no understanding what it was. I didn't know what an open mic was. I'd never met a comedian or seen stand-up at all. But I'd always like been a guy that would regurgitate jokes I saw on TV.
Yeah.
Like I know the first joke I ever regurgitated was an Ellen DeGeneres joke. I like woke my mom up because Ellen was on like Comic Strip Live, which was on Fox on Fridays at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
She did a joke about hunting, and I just thought it was the funniest shit.
What was the joke?
It was about how hunters say that they hunt the animals because they're so beautiful. And she goes, I find my mother very attractive, but I just have pictures of her. And then she goes,
Yeah.
The saddest is when you see the deer at the bar, and he's got the party hat on, like the mounted head. She goes, because he was at a party, and then someone murdered him. And I was just like, you tricked me. What happened? You tricked me with that word. Like, you tricked me with that line. And I woke. My mom didn't know what was happening. But that was like, so I just started noticing that, like, thought process. And, like, that, like, wouldn't it be, like, talking in that way? Like, it would be like my stepmom pointed out once. She goes, you talk weird. I go, what do you mean? She goes, you always say, this happened, it was like this. Or wouldn't it be funny if it was like, I was like
Yeah.
I was always like recreating myself in the situation in reference to trying to be funny. And then I just met Bobby Lee doing a commercial, and he was a stand-up, and I went and saw him. And then like a year later, I ran into him. I was like, I want to be a comedian.
Really?
Yeah.
So then you were just down here.
Yeah, I started at the
Illustrating.
Comedy Store. Yeah, I would. Well, I was
Illustrating.
I probably had finished art school, and I was like doing commercials.
But and so the and you are, how many commercials would you say you've done?
I think like 75.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Do you just have commercial auditioning down to a, what is the key to being a good commercial act, like getting a lot of commercials?
Not understanding that they're selling a product. So think in terms of what product they're selling, like, and find a way to be funny within that kind of structure. Like, if you're the funniest guy in the world, I don't care. Your most hilarious off-color joke is not going to work if they're selling macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
So, like, the key is to, like, be funny and be unique and stand out, but don't think being super hilarious is going to do it because you're selling tires. Like, you're there just to function. You have a very specific function. You're trying to sell a product. So,
Yeah.
like, look at how they're describing. They put up storyboards. So, like, look at how they're describing what they want, and then execute that while being just different enough to stand out.
Wow.
But people, I think, because also most commercial actors are improvisers. So I think they go in and they improvise real hard, and it's like, that's hilarious, but, like, you're selling Doritos. So, like, they can't have you overshadow the Dorito.
Yeah.
And actually, the way to get commercial jobs is not to be the best and not to be the worst. If you're the one everyone agrees on early on, you're not getting that job because they'll talk their way out of it. You want to be the one no one hates. Because there's 35 people that make that dumb decision. There's, like, 90 emails. Like, did you show Scott that email? Yeah, did Scott read it? Well, we got to get it to Rob. Like, it takes... I've watched them make decisions. It's one of the funniest. It's like a bit.
Really?
It's like a sketch. The way decisions get made on commercial sets is so funny. Because there's too many people involved. They're all terrified. And it's the funniest thing because they're talking about, like, chips.
God.
And they're just like, well, let's make sure Jim gets on that email to look at the boards. And you're like, it's a board about a barbecue chip. And it's just silly. It's silly. But there's so much money involved.
That's so crazy.
They spend so much money.
Oh yeah. What? Don't tell me. I think I've always fascinated. So, like, when I started, Jim Gaffigan and Judah Friedlander were the two commercial guys.
Yeah.
Like Jim, I remember Dimitri Martin telling me Judah Friedlander did a commercial where he sat on a lazy boy in the middle of a football field. I want to say it was for Snickers.
Right.
And he and Dimitri's like, he got paid $125,000 for that.
Those days are dead.
Really?
But they did exist for. I was like the tail. I started at like the tail end of that thing because cable TV killed that.
Yeah.
Because they can pay you a tenth as much to be on cable, and you basically get seen by the same amount of people. And they haven't evened those payments yet. But I mean, it's a fucking great job. Even just like the low end of what I make for doing a commercial is still good.
Yeah.
Especially when you quantify the fact that you worked a day.
Now, wait, what if someone's listening, what commercial have they seen you on? Like, what's your most famous commercial?
I was in a campaign for IBM where I did like 12. So that was... Most people saw lots of that. Right now I'm in a commercial for the UPS store with a dog.
Wait, what was the campaign for IBM?
It was always me and... Do you watch golf?
Yeah.
It was me and a guy we're in like short sleeve white shirts, and we're always in like a white room selling like servers. So it was like he'd be like freaking out, and I was always the smart one that was like, not really, because we have IBM.
Oh yeah.
And that's the campaign that bought me a home.
Now, how old were you when you got married?
Shit. I must have been 32?
Really?
Yeah.
32 years old. That's a good time to get married.
Yeah. 34, divorced.
You got divorced at 34?
Yeah. We were married 2 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That was in and out, huh?
Yeah. It wasn't going well.
Really?
We tried. She's a nice human.
Do you still talk to her?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be crazy.
It's weird.
What was who decided to end it?
It was, I think, as close to mutual as it can get, but also I'm of the opinion it was a little more her than me. I think I wanted to try a little harder towards the end than she did, but I think she was just tired. Granted, I was a hard person to be around and know.
But you don't drink.
No, but I was in like as legit a depression as I've ever been, and didn't really feel like getting out of it. So it was a lot of me like, you should just like, this is never going to get better. This is how I am.
Yeah.
And I think she just looked at that and was like, do I want this for the rest of my life? And was like, no. Granted, I'm better now.
Yeah.
But I wasn't then.
Is this post your father?
It was post my dad dying. So I didn't necessarily deal with that, or I don't know if there's a way.
How have you dealt with it now?
I mean, now I go to therapy.
Therapy's so fucking good.
I was there this morning. It was awesome.
Were you really?
Yeah.
What are you talking about now? Because you seem really solid.
I'm way better. I'm much better than I've ever been.
Yeah.
I was telling my therapist now, I was like, things are pretty good. Like I was describing, I ran into Josh Adam Myers the other day, and he was like, what's going on? And he was like, what do you got going? I was like, oh, I got to do Chelsea this week, and then I got to go to New Orleans to do Adam Devine's house party. And he's like, and then what, you got any acting stuff? I go, yeah, I go back to this show Masters of Sex. He's like, so you're killing it. And I was like, well, I guess. And I was like, you know what, man, this is pretty fucking good. Like, I'm doing pretty great. Like, I was like, this is awesome. And I, like, everything, I feel all right. And, because I'm better at, I know what to do now if I feel bad. And whereas before I didn't know what to do, I was like, oh, this is your lot in life, to feel bad all the time. You're stuck this way. It's never going to change. So let's just stay this way.
See, I presume dread is around the corner.
Yeah.
I presume.
But also it's not. And it's fine to presume that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I learned, this is what I learned. It's okay to like feel panicky and like work, but just it's about like learning the things to do when you get those feelings. Like, okay, the other day I was at the Grove. I'm buying pants for no reason. I just wanted pants.
Yeah.
I decided on a new look. I was like, I'm going to do this thing.
What's your new look?
I was like, I'm going to get high water slacks. And I knew where to buy them. And so I go to the fucking Grove.
What a fucking bold choice, though.
I'm like high water slacks with Vans, I think would look, because I'm getting a little older. I'm like, I want to maybe be able to tuck my shirt in. But you can't. I don't like tucking your shirt into jeans. I don't know why I don't like it.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, high water slacks, because then you can still wear Vans and you can tuck your shirt in and you look okay. So I'm like, let's go get some fucking slacks. And so I go, and I'm doing this because it's sad that day, because I'm lonely. And then I'm at the Grove and I'm like, you're a little sad. But it's Monday, and I'm like, well, go to the Comedy Store. You can grab a spot, because it's Monday. You can do a pop-in, and then your friends will be there, because I saw that Steve Simone was doing Kill Tony's podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, you'll hang out with Steve. It'll be fine. And, like, that's the difference. Whereas before, I would have just gone home and wallowed and been like, you're the loneliest man. It's like, no, I have tons of really awesome friends.
Yeah.
And can go to a comedy club and fucking get on stage just on a Monday because I'm a regular there. Like, I have all the things that, like, are in my life to make me happy. It's just about knowing they're there and treating them that way.
No, my thing is, sometimes I go, Bert, no one's thinking about this one thing as much as you are.
For real.
Like, you're thinking about this a lot. No one's thinking about you at all.
No one. Or they're not thinking about you in the way you think they are at all. Everyone's everyone's consumed with their own life.
Yeah.
Because not that, they're so selfish. It's hard. Life is very difficult. I don't know anyone who goes, yeah, life was way easier than I thought it would be. No, everyone's like, Jesus, this is hard. This just gets hard. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen on stage. Steve Simone's on stage, at the Comedy Store on like a Sunday. The crowd's kind of crap, not a lot of people, and he's doing okay. He's starting out, and he's like, and then he just goes, God, isn't life so much harder than you think it would be? And the whole crowd goes dead silent, and they literally lean forward, like, keep telling the truth, sir. like, keep going, please. Like, it was the fucking realest shit.
Yeah.
So, like, life can be very difficult, but it is for everyone. And when you realize that, like, no one's thinking about, like, the people that are thinking about me right now are doing so in a very small way. So this, like, obsession you think everyone's thinking negative shit about you is not the case.
How many people do you think are thinking about you right now?
Do we count Twitter people or people that actually know me? If you just read my tweet, you sort of think about me.
Your Twitter is fucking hilarious, by
thanks.
the way.
But I would think, like, 6? Maybe 6 people I crossed their mind?
I wonder how many people are thinking about me. Let's tweet it.
How many followers do you have?
I have 105.
The ratio, they say a good response on Twitter is 3% of your total number. If you can get 3% of your total number to do anything for you, you're crushing it.
I'm going to say tweet me if you're thinking about...
Tweet me if you thought about me in the last 4 minutes. That's what you should say.
Okay, why is it tweet me? How about this? Tweet me if you have thought about how come I can't fucking...
But yeah, the notion of when people think about you is I think you can feel it when they think about you. Like the other day, I was like, you know what I realized? I think I have a decent sense of probability. So the other day I was like, I haven't heard from Joel Madison. This is a comic, Minneapolis guy. He's a writer now. I was like, I haven't heard from Joel Madison in probably 2 months. I bet you, I was like, I'm surprised I haven't got an email from him that's just like, what's going on? And then yesterday I got one that was like, so what's up?
Oh, that's so funny.
Like, just in terms of the amount of time, we're like, it's been longer than usual that I've heard from this person. I'm due for a contact from them. You can just kind of gauge it, like, oh, that's a little weird. Like, oh, it's been a week. Like, my friend John Bronson always gives me a hard time for not calling him enough, and I know when I'm about to get a call. Because if I go more than, like, 8 days with any kind of contact, I get a call from that's like, you don't call me, you never, what's happening, you hate my guts. But you can kind of feel it. There's just that, because it's stuff you're used to.
I believe in gut instinct. I can sense a gut instinct very quickly.
I think humans, we take our first initial instinct, which a lot of times is right, then we pollute it with experience, and then we try to use that polluted version of our first inclination, and then try to use that, like, diseased thing. Whereas, like, when you first, like, they have, I am in a 12-step program, and they have a thing, don't paint red flags white.
Why are you in a 12-step program?
For codependency.
Seriously?
Yeah. I love it.
Wait, I think I'm codependent.
Dude, I love it.
Will you take me to one of your meetings?
Yes. They're so...
Is that bad if you go, guys, I got a new friend, Bert.
No, they are
He's gonna be coming to meetings with me.
They're so useful. Save my life.
Can you tell me if I'm codependent?
Sure. I mean, okay, first of all, I'm not allowed to tell you you're codependent. But if you say, I think I'm codependent... That's a pretty good sign.
I think. Why can't you tell me if I'm codependent?
You're not supposed to, like, diagnose other people.
Okay.
It's like, because I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know enough about your life, and it's like the whole thing with any of these programs is people who come to them, they're not effective unless you decide to go to them. Yeah. So if we ran around being like, you're an alcoholic, you're a codependent, you're this, and people are like, okay, I'll go because you tell me to. It's like nothing works until you want to do it yourself.
I went to an AA meeting one time.
Yeah.
And my buddy took me, and he was like, and I was like, and I just was going through a hard time.
Yeah.
And I happened to be drinking a lot, but I was just going through a certifiably hard time.
Yeah.
And I was actually not drinking when he saw me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I just got to figure shit out. Like,
yeah.
And I don't think drinking is the way to figure that out. And I was like, I think, as a matter of fact, I think I need to quit drinking for a while to figure out what the fuck's going on in my life. Mm-hmm. And he's like, why don't you come to a meeting? And I'm such a yes man. I'm such a guy that doesn't like conflict.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I went. And then I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to people tell their stories about, like, I remember he was like, you should say something. And I was like, I don't know if I feel like standing up and talking.
Yeah.
Because then I feel like there's a commitment to it. And he's like, well, that gets you, gets the ball rolling. It shows you're serious about this. And so I was like, all right, I'll talk. And the guy before me literally stands up. And he's like, I've been having a rough day. I woke up this morning. I blew my landlord and then lit his car on fire. Oh, I'm having a rough day. And I was like, I'm not this guy. He's like, and so, not to say that I'm better or worse than, but I was like, I don't want to talk after him because I know I can't follow that.
Yeah.
Like as a comic,
That's the thing. Like, I don't talk at meetings because, I know I haven't been going a super long time, maybe around a year. I know that I will...
Send me to one meeting and I'm talking.
I've shared at one meeting, but I know it was a small one. And because I know there's a part of me that'll be like, room full of people. Let's try to get a laugh. And that's not really what I'm there for. I get the most out of listening to people because what it tells me is, what I've learned is like, everyone's really similar. I hear people I hear people say things, I've heard people say problems I didn't know I had. And then when they said it out loud, I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I can't, I swear, I can't, I love it. I love it.
So I
it's helped me a ton.
So I tweeted, tell me if you've thought about Kevin Christy in the last 4 minutes.
We're gonna hear We're gonna hear some gay slurs.
Nope. This guy goes, the average male thinks about Kevin Christy 2.3 times every minute. I love it.
Occasionally, and it's awesome. That's a really nice reference to my podcast. I really appreciate that, Ryan Simister.
I haven't, but hey, tweet like me, birdie boy. Hey,
funny enough, I just listened to him on IHC Red Band. That's good.
With Red Band.
Yeah.
I hate what's IHC?
Ice House Chronicles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
do believe in like the collective unconscious, because I notice that with artistic ideas all the time. A thing that I literally thought of myself, then an artist that does never see my work, doesn't know me, will be making almost the same shit at the same time. That there is like a collective unconscious. I believe that is completely happening. You see it with ideas all the time. I mean, there's like 4 Prefontaine movies that came out in the same fucking
Remember that?
year. Yeah. You're like, okay, it's like, and Capote, and like, whatever, that may be money-based, but like, there is that thing where
Can
like...
I tell you something crazy?
Please.
I tell my Russian mob story. Mind you, I have not told this story. It happened probably 20...
I'm already uncomfortable. I am so afraid of the Russian mob.
Are you really?
They don't fuck around, dude.
No, I know. I'm well aware of that.
You know how you know they don't fuck around? You never hear of them getting caught.
Yeah.
They're never arrested.
I told that story. That story happened in '95.
Right.
I told it on Rogan's podcast in like probably 2 years ago. And then as I start telling it on stage, all of a sudden there's a movie about a bachelor party, and one of the characters' name's The Machine. Mm-hmm. The Rock comes out with a movie called I Am the Machine.
Yeah.
Bernard Hopkins copyrights the name I Am the Machine.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, and I'm like, I thought of this. I did this like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But the collective unconscious just shows up, and all of a sudden it's
there's
everywhere.
like a progression. It's like you can kind of see where fashion goes. Like right now, sweats are very cool. The kids, I live near a high school. The kids are wearing cool sweatpants.
Really?
I think that is a reaction to extremely stiff denim, like I'm wearing right now. Where it's like the everything's like an opposite reaction, like an inverse.
Yeah.
So you see that in art, you see that in stand-up. It's like people are tired of nerd culture. People are like, enough, shut up, geek. Like, we get it. And they're like, they're in charge now, so they're the new bullies, which is absolutely true. And then people are like, oh, shut up with your nerd shit already. Like, can you just talk about something real? Can we talk about normal life? Like, I don't care how you feel about Facebook. Shut up.
Yeah.
And it's because anytime there's too much of something, there's got to be an inverse. It's got to be like something to take that away, to like
and the
move
nerd
it.
culture was the inverse to
The nerd culture was the inverse to like maybe 80s comedy, that very TV style.
Or even like when Dane was ruling
to a certain degree.
Stand-up,
but also
Dane was...
I think it was more a reaction to everyone was trying to get a sitcom. So they're like, here's my family, here's my story. And early alternative comedy was like about anything else. It wasn't super it was about like, here's my views on culture. And I think that was like, we're not all trying to sell, like, here's my wacky life. And so now I think there's like too much. You'll go see a stand-up now and you're like, I don't know anything. You're really funny. I laughed out loud at all your observations. I know nothing about you.
Yeah.
Because I just know how you feel about other things. And I want both. I don't want one or the other. I want a little bit of both.
I want both. I like going back to Dana Gould, but like I like watching him dissect a joke while telling a joke sometimes.
Yeah.
Like one time I heard him say made a joke and then he did it in an effeminate voice for a guy and he goes, "Why am I doing the effeminate voice?"
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. And then he like broke it down.
Yeah.
And because and it was
guy's
like
brain, man.
he's got a fucking interesting brain.
Got a beautiful brain.
Kindler, there's a lot of guys that I could watch. Fucking
Kindler was. I did an episode of Marin, and Kindler's a guy that doing stand up in L.A. Kindler's just a dude. You're like, that guy is a voracious joke writer who is brilliant. And I was taping an episode of Marin. He's like, "You look familiar," and I'm like, "Oh, it's commercials." And he's like, "No." And then I mentioned someone's like, "What are you working on?" I go, "I just finished working on Masters of Sex." And he was like, "Oh my God, we love that show! Like my wife, like she's gonna freak out. You're the..." And I was like, "This is so cool that like you think I'm cool right now. This is so fucking great."
yeah.
Like that's the thing. They're like those. That's why I realized I'm fucking lucky as shit. Some bad things have happened to me.
Yeah.
I had
you had an even keeled boat ride.
I had a dense run of death and like financial destruction and like but luckily it happened all together. But I'm fucking like between getting to do what I do for a living and like getting to be a comedian and no comedians. A friend of mine's just starting stand up and I was like, you got to find your group. Your group is the best thing. Hanging out with comedians, you can't really beat it.
It's something I've said numerous times. Out of all the things I've done, like in my career, and I'll say my career, like what am I proudest of? Am I proudest of having done Letterman or writing a book or selling a TV show or being on TV? The thing I am fucking proudest of is the fact that I earned the right to call myself a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Then no one can ever take that away from me. And I'm a member of a very small subculture of humans who are the funniest human beings in the world. That's
what Brendan Walsh pointed out. He goes, I'm friends with some of the funniest people in the world. You're like, holy shit, you're right.
Oh, I said, I wrote a thing in my book about my buddy Eddie is hands down one of the funniest human beings you'll ever meet in public. If you meet, I wrote a chapter about him.
Right.
If you met him, you would literally sit there and go, holy shit. Now, none of the rules apply to Eddie.
Yeah.
So he can use any joke he wants because he's just trying to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And he will use the joke that you maybe know, but in a nod to the fact that you know that he's doing it.
Yeah.
And he's doing it in front of you. Like he would use your joke to you in front of a bunch of people, go, ah! And, but he's so in control of every situation. And I said, he is one of the funniest human beings I've ever met. And I wrote in the book, and I know the funniest human beings in the world. And then I realized what a statement that was.
Yeah.
I literally...
You know them. That's insanity.
Yeah. And if I don't know them, I can go introduce myself to them, and they will want to start talking to me because I'm in that group.
I'm not as... I'm a comedian. I mean, people think of me as a comedian. I've earned, to a certain degree, the respect of my peers.
Yes, you have.
The ones that know me. And that, to me, is like the biggest... That's what a lot of people, like, especially art-wise, they're like, why don't you do, like, art comedy? Why don't you, like, do stuff at art galleries? And, like, you should do stand-up in a museum. And I'm like, no, I shouldn't. Because I want to be judged by comedian criteria. Like that, like anyone, I could go do stand up in a museum and they would fucking like it or not.
Yeah.
But like, who gives a shit?
What's the same thing with being famous? So when you watch Chris Rock go up and dial back all his delivery, it's because he needs these jokes to be judged for what they are, and not the fact that Superman's delivering them.
Yeah. But it's like I wanted comedian criteria. Like I was like, no, I don't want to like combine. Like, people always web designers always contact me wanting to build me a website that combines all of your they want to like have this multimedia site that's like, it's like, look, a skate design, and then you're telling a joke, and I'm like, no, literally no.
Yeah.
Because the comedy thing, it's its own, there's its own rules.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to be judged on a curve. That's what I was talking to Josh Adam Myers because he had a really tragedy happened to him. He was in a car, and our friend Angela Bowers, they had a car accident. Angela died, and it was terrible. But for a while,
who's Josh?
Josh Adam Myers is a comic. We just did Montreal last year together. He's a funny dude. He was in a terrible car accident. A cab hit him and his friend.
Just heard about this.
And Angelo was a comedian, sweetest dude in the world.
Angelo,
great joke writer.
Yeah, I totally know about this.
It happened a little while after my dad died, but for a while I was like, you and me get judged on a curve a little bit. Because, like, for a while after my dad died, it was like, no matter what I did on stage, it was like, well, he went through a really... And him and I were like, no, just fucking... Just let me tell it, just jokes only. Like, don't judge me on that other shit. Like, you got such a past for such a long time. And we still get that a little bit. And it's like, you want to just be judged on merit. And that's what's so great about stand-up, is you don't get in that... They do not let anyone in who isn't allowed.
Yeah.
It's fucking serious. They're like, get that fucking... No, fuck that guy.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
It's very much like that.
Because I don't feel like I'm not a headliner yet. So, like, I'm not really in... Like, I heard I'm not going to say his name, but a comedian was like, I only talk to headliners. And it's different.
Did you say who it was? Was it Rich Voss?
No. No. But it was like... It was like, I don't...
Wait. Tell me off mic who it was.
That's just a thing I heard.
Oh,
but
that's so him.
Headlining is way hard. Featuring's the easiest thing in the world.
Oh fuck! I would love to go back to featuring.
Oh, dude, I have the easiest job ever.
Featuring is like being white in the 1800s.
Yeah,
just like, oh, you're shitting me.
Yeah, dude, I don't have to. So that's the thing. I've headlined a handful of times, and it's so much harder. So like until you're the reason they show up, that's different. There's comedians, then there's like headliners who are a draw. That's a group that is really small and really hard to get into. There's a lot of people that can headline and do a good job over the weekend, but most of the crowds there just see comedy.
Yeah.
But if you're the reason they showed up, man, that is rare.
If you're the reason they showed up, I'll tell you what. I'll put it in. I'll even make that group smaller. If you're the reason that fucking 30% of them showed up.
Yeah.
That's a small. I mean, like, just that's successful.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, it's a small group to be involved in, and then you think you're involved with it. Like, and I'll put this in perspective, and I won't say the guy's name, but it rhymes with Bill Burr, but like Bill consistently is under the impression that you know, like that I'm doing what he's doing. That, you know, because he's not. I don't think he thinks he's as great as he is.
I think
and it's not self-deprecating.
No, I think he's afraid. I think there's a real. And I heard this story that when during first season of Chappelle's show, Chappelle came and headlined the store. He did like 2 nights in the main room. And I went. I had just started. I had to pay. I'd pay to get in. Yeah. And it was fucking magical. And Steve Simone told me the story that they're sitting around the table and back with Mitzi. This is when Mitzi still hung out there, and she goes, "I think he might be better than Richard." Pryor said this to Chappelle, and he literally just went like, "Oh man," like not like "Oh great," just like "Oh shit." That there's a burden to being the best. Chris Rock says, he goes, "I don't want to be number one. 2 to 5 is a crazy nice life."
Do you think that's why so many people compliment each other these days?
Yeah, because being the best, first of all, you know you're only going to be the best for a while. You see that with like a guy like Kat or Kevin Hart. It's like who's next? He's fallen off. Like they want to say that about these people. And there is number 3. If you're number 1 through 10, you're a millionaire. You get recognized that perfect amount where you can go out and get attention whenever you want.
Wow, this
and you
is
have
going to be a
fucking
fun game.
Super fun job. But number 1, man.
Okay, let's rank them.
They just right now or
right
all
now,
time?
Number 1, right now, just right now.
Right now, number 1, Bill Burr.
No, but how are we? Are we doing writing or are we doing like?
Well, Chris Rock's about to do an hour, so who fucking knows?
But like Kevin Hart,
dude, yeah,
is literally kind of changing the game because he's doing movies, and he's like, and I tell you what, and I didn't start with Kevin. He started in Philly,
Kevin
but I remember when he moved to New York.
Fucking a kind of razor sharp. It is on a. It's like a. It's so good.
It is. There is a laser
commitment. Oh God!
I saw him. I'm on the treadmill last night, and he's on. I forget the name of the special, but it's not the one with the flames behind it. It's the one where he's just in black leathers.
Yeah.
Like,
oh,
I wish,
God,
by the way, fucking, I would love to just have the confidence of black entertainers with wardrobe choices.
Oh.
I get so worked up, and I end up in the same fucking white uniform, which is jeans and a black collared shirt and black shoes.
Yeah, I've started just doing all black, like a black T-shirt. That don't let everyone know that I don't think I'm too great, but I'm good enough to be there.
I wish I just had the confidence of black comedians.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you look at, like...
Eddie Murphy, red leather, bitch.
Just look at, like... I mean, did you see the Twitter war that happened between Mike Epps and Kevin Hart?
Yeah.
And by the way, I didn't know if they were joking around or not.
I was thinking, I wish there was a font for when beef was genuine on Twitter, so I knew who was actually mad at each other.
But the confidence, and by this way, I'm not meaning this shitty, and I only justify that because I don't mean it shitty, but I don't know how people read into what I said.
Yeah.
I said something once about Tom Green, not even trying to be mean at all, and this guy fucking lost his shit on me, and I was like, I was actually complimenting Tom Green, but it didn't come out that way. But like, I just want Kevin Hart's confidence.
Yeah.
Like the book, I'm releasing this next week. The book has come out. I'm assuming, because I would know by now, to little to no fanfare. I mean, I would probably have an idea if it was going to be a bestseller.
Right.
Right now, they would give me like a heads up. I think you're going to be a bestseller.
Yeah.
But it's not. But I'm so self-deprecating that I'm doing a tour to promote this book.
Yeah.
And literally, I went through and I was like, the press release after it's been released, and I was like, can we take back some of this stuff? Because I don't want to make it sound like I'm confident.
You ever hear that? Hear that Churchill quote? That what is it? It's something in the face of ability. Like something in the face of ability is hypocrisy. Like being self-deprecating in the face of your own ability is basically just hypocrisy. Yeah, you're fucking funny. You know that. Yeah, that's the thing. If someone told you, if someone tried to get you, and were like, "You're not funny," you'd be like, "Oh, really?"
Oh yeah, right. But the second I said, "Oh, really," I'd probably not be funny anymore.
It's that white people. I think about this a lot. We're like being called stuck up when I was a kid was like the worst thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, that person's stuck up, and it's like, well, you know, stuck up, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, like you
need to find that balance. There's certain because I think there's a certain amount of confidence it takes to like ask for the ball, and like say like, no, I can do this. You know, I see that with who's always been really good at that is Whitney. Whitney's like, no, give me the mic. I'll do it. I'll rewrite your script. I'll have a television show. And it's like, I had a meeting a few months ago. The guys were like, hey, we want to like wrap a show around you. I was like,
wrong guy.
No.
You know who you really want to meet? Steve Simone.
yeah. Like, you should talk to Steve Berners. He's a little bit taller. He has better hair. Like, it's because you're afraid of it's all just a fear of failure. Because if you give, I said that, I mean, I believe this too, is there's a certain, it's one of the reasons I don't combine a lot of the stuff I do. Showbiz is not the meanest business, but it's not the nicest. One day they're done with you, and they put you in the trash. If you gave them everything, all of you is now in the trash. So you don't want to wake up one day and everything about you is in the garbage. So protect some of it. It's like I don't trust NBC. I'm not going to give NBC my paintings and hope they do a good job. Yeah. They're not gonna. And not that they'll have like evil in mind, but they're not. That's not the business they're in.
Yeah,
it's like I don't combine the things because I don't think they belong there. A lot of the time,
that's so fucking interesting. I just don't. Yeah, if you give them all of you, then all of you's in the trash.
Because one day, just the nature of business, they're done. It's like who's funnier than Don Rickles?
Yeah,
Don Rickles isn't dead. So why isn't he on television every 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Don Rickles is fucking otherworldly funny.
I think
Kevin Hart. Okay, my friend Jerry he's in Think Like a Man too.
Yeah.
And I drove by the billboard. We ate last night. And I saw him. I was like, your face is the biggest face on that billboard. He goes, I know. I go, you know why? Racism. Kevin Hart starred that movie, but some fucking white executive was like, nah, put the white guy up front.
Well, I think they probably think they need a crossover.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna get black audiences.
We're gonna get black audiences.
We need white ones. It's like, no, Kevin Hart's transcended that.
If they got Jerry's fan base to show up, it would fucking be great.
But the thing is, like, Kevin Hart was making surprise hits for what, 5 years now?
Yeah.
How surprised are we gonna get that this dude is gonna have a hit again?
I watched his special. I forget the name of it, and he does a bit about his. He does a bit. It's so interesting the way he's talking. Like And by the way, once again, I love Kevin. I'm not, but I'm just pointing out what I noticed. Like he's talking about his manager, and his manager was there before the money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sound like that you would never hear a white comic
acknowledge the money.
Acknowledge the money.
Louis did it once where he was like, I was flying first class, and he goes, no, you know what? I fly first class all the time.
Yeah,
he goes, I lead a different life than you.
And he made a bit out of acknowledging the money.
Yeah.
But Kevin didn't make a bit out of it. He goes, he was there before the money, and everyone's like, yeah, he's a real person
before the money.
And then he's talking about his posse.
Yeah.
He's got his driver, his bodyguard, his stylist, or whatever, and he's got his wife and his chick, and in the story, he's kicking the dude's ass. And I'm like, that is so
it's different.
White
I also
approach.
think it's also in a country that still actively tries to oppress black people. It's important to note your own success.
Yeah.
Like, no, not only did I transcend the entertainment business, which is hard, I did it as a black male, which is way harder.
No one was giving him the ball.
No, I had a publicist tell me no one's harder to get on the cover of a magazine than a black male. They don't want to do it.
I was sitting with Kevin Bozeman, I think, I'm almost certain is his name. He's a comic out of Chicago, and he's fucking hilarious. And we were working one weekend, and he was blowing my doors off the stage.
Yeah.
And he's clean, and we're in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is predominantly white.
Been there.
And he is...
Drove to Gurnee to buy porn once.
What?
I was making a movie in Illinois, and I needed porn. This is back when DVDs were a thing, and I the closest porn shop was in Gurnee. I drove like 60 miles
to get porn. So Kevin
Schaumburg.
Bozeman and I are sitting in the back, and I don't know if I shared this with him or if I just had this thought and then pretended that I shared it with him, but I'm pretty sure I did. And he wasn't being a dick about it, but he was like, I wonder why they don't headline me at these clubs while I'm just featuring, because I think I'm funny enough. And it was coming off a compliment I paid him about how funny he was.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I just realized very quickly in the moment, I think I shared this with him, but if you put my picture up in front of the Improv, you will get just white people.
Yeah.
White people just
white humans.
They'll be like, oh, let's go give it a shot. See what it is. I like comedy.
Yeah.
Let's see if this guy's funny. If you put Kevin Bozeman up,
yeah.
And he's not even like a urban act at all.
No.
People and I think they like him just as much. People just see the face and they go, oh, it's their night tonight.
Yeah,
and they walk away.
That shit still exists and is still a reason.
And I'm guilty of it too. Let me like if you put a picture of a maybe not because I like hip hop, but like if you put a picture of a black musician, I might assume it's one type of music.
Yeah.
And just because based on color, like that's part of the human experience.
No, Neil and I host a show on Sundays with Neil Brennan in Santa Monica, and we were talking like we have a really diverse lineup.
Who just talked about this on a podcast?
Fitz, maybe? He does it all the time.
Yep, it was Fitzsimmons. He was talking about it with Rogan, and Rogan said he wants to come down and do it.
Okay, yeah. It's great. You can do all new shit. We encourage it, yeah. We kind of are, the structure of our show is headliners working on new shit for their acts.
Oh my God, please, I want to go down there.
Yeah, all the time. But one of the things, the lady who books our show, Sarah Mello, we have a really diverse lineup. We probably have more black comedians on our lineups than most clubs.
Well, Kevin's whole podcast, or not Kevin, Neil's whole podcast is about black people.
And, me and Neil are literally proud of it because our shows are fucking great.
Yeah.
We have all different kinds of comics all the time, and it's given me an exposure to a group of comics that I probably wouldn't have met at the Comedy Store or at whatever other rooms I do because most of the places I go is a bunch of white dudes.
Let me tell you something.
Like, dude, now Roy Wood Jr.,
motherfucker, fantastic.
One of the funniest dudes and a voracious writer. Yeah. Always like, hey, what do you think? Like working on Neil was like, come to our Roy can do our show every week because he's always coming with new shit. And it's like these are people I would never have met, and they're only being held. They're still literally being held back because of race.
You look at and I'll tell you right now, and I know that we just brought him up and that he had beef with Kevin Hart. Mike Epps.
Mike Epps hilarious.
Mike Epps.
Tony Rock.
Tony Rock's fucking great. I partied with Mike Epps a bunch in New York, and I know he doesn't remember it because I've run into him since, and he just didn't remember me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if I told him the nights, he may recollect them. But I remember watching him on stage, and I hung around him a little bit when I was working the door at the Boston Comedy Club. Tony Woods, him, Greer Barnes. Greer Barnes is one of the funniest human beings I've ever seen in my entire life. You ever seen Greer?
No.
Greer Barnes is one of the funniest human beings on the fucking planet.
Yeah.
With the most... You think Kevin Hart's timing's good?
Yeah.
Greer Barnes his timing, his body, his commitment to the bit. He would do a bit about scuba diving. And he was underwater.
Yeah.
He was making the noises, and his body was moving slow, and just, and then take a hit of a joint underwater, and pass it
when
to the
I see
fish.
those bits, I instantly think of the first time they did them. I remember I was watching D'Elia do a bit, and he's literally on his head, and some kid was like, "Yeah, does his physical stuff." I go, "Okay." Imagine doing it the first time.
Yeah.
At the ha-ha. Whereas Chris used to work out a lot. It's like, all right, here comes the point in my bit where I have to stand on my head, hope it fucking goes well, because if you bomb that bit, you're upside down. You're literally upside down. You have to slowly stand back up.
Yeah.
When you see someone who has a great physical bit, the balls it takes.
There was a guy, Franz, who's out of New York. And I know his brother's an actor, and they're making movies. I don't know. I know he's out in L.A. I ran into him one day.
Is it Hans and Franz?
No, Franz is a black dude.
Oh, man. That's
Franz
great.
is a black dude, and he had this bit that I've never seen a bit kill harder in my entire life, and it was about the Jamaican. There was a Jamaican who went on a Long Island Railroad, and he with a rifle, and he shot a bunch of people. And Hans's whole bit was, I just would have played dead. I just would have been like, "Oh no, you shot me," and then just he like played dead, and his whole thing was like, "Oh, he's still shooting," but he's talking outside of his mouth, and then he's like, "Oh, he's not looking," and he'd slide off the stool, and he'd move his body across the stage with the microphone in his hand, just no,
Beautiful.
just move the arm up, but it was so fucking genius,
Just beautiful.
and I would sit back there and go, the commitment.
Yeah. And when you see something like that, you're like, you're a beautiful little pony right now.
Yeah.
You're just like this little ballet dancer, clown person, perfect little being. And it's childlike. It's like, look at me, I'm wriggling on the ground.
Yeah.
But combined with an adult brain and adult sense of humor, there's this beautiful meld of both things.
I don't have anything physical in my act right now.
I try to be louder and occasionally just from the standpoint of movement, because the type of comedian I am, just anything I can do just to break up the rhythm, because otherwise I'm just it's like standing there doing word problems, because those aren't my favorite comedians. Aren't like people that just stand there and make observations. Like I want to see, like, show me something, like perform. I want to see like because that's when you see the inner child, that's when you see someone's like, that's when their heart comes out. When they like the thing they can't stop themselves from doing physically is so honest. They're like, no, I got to dance this part. You're like, really? You got to, like, that's so beautiful. You're like, you had to dance that part. You had to let it out.
I'm gonna write this down now, because now you're saying this, and I'm like, I just recently, I don't know how I don't know where this, how I got on this. I don't know where this came from, but just recently I realized, I'm not putting in the work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in Irvine. I was like, I'm really, because I wasn't drinking, and I was like, I'm really kind of going through the motions of stand-up sometimes, going to the clubs, headlining, and I think what happened, and I think honestly, is that the Machine story got so big that people were just coming to hear that.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had to tell that, so I would fuck around for my own sake in the beginning of the show, then tell that story, and then tell a bunch of stories. And so, like, the other day, I was like, I am not putting in the work. I'm not listening to my sets.
Right.
I'm not doing any of the fucking work that's necessary to be a better comic.
Yeah.
So I started writing my book, and I was like, I got a new book, and I was like, I'm going to get a new book. I've had the same book literally for fucking 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to get a new book, and I'm going to really focus and write. And I was like, all right. And I was like, and then I'm like, what do I want to write about? And when you just said something physical, I was like, you know what? What if I said to myself, Bert, work on something, try to find something physical.
Yeah.
Like, make a real funny physical bit.
You almost think in terms of like, what would I like to do physically? And then and then you're like, okay. Like, I remember, like, Sebastian has that bit where he throws something in Ross. Mm-hmm. I remember years ago, I was like, I want a bit where I throw something like that. I go, it's so fun to watch. And it's just so like, I wrote a bit about, that's how I proposed. I just threw a ring at my fiance from like 20 yards away. I was just like, hey, and I just like so it was literally so I could pantomime throw something on stage.
Yeah.
So I was like, that looks so. It's like dancing feels good. Like it literally you feel good doing it. It's like this weird natural thing that humans are oddly enough meant to do. So when you're doing those bits, when you let yourself be physical and they work, it's this perfect like it is a perfect like kid-like moment where it's that same mechanism as when you're a kid where you're like, look at me, and then you would do some weird physical shit for your parents and they'd be like, good job, and you were just like bouncing around.
Yeah. Now I just realized what I said out loud, and I was like, I have no physical bits in my act. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a fucking wordsmith, and anyone that see me live is like, hold on, Bert, are you talking about the minute you walk on stage, rip your shirt off and start dancing, kill a beer, then throw it on the ground, and do the rest of your set shirtless?
Yeah.
Are you talking about that non-physical shit?
Yeah.
Fucking the fact that I almost get naked. I really.
I realized that the other day. I was like, the act I'm doing right now regularly. I was like, you have no emotional connection to this anymore. These are thoughts. These are things you cared about a year ago. So what do you care about now? Like I have one bit I really like right now. It somehow combines slavery and pugs, but it's what I'm thinking about right now, or whatever it is. It's like I was just talking about this. We were talking about Dom Herrera, and I think that's what's kept him cool. He's a lot older than a lot of the comics you see him hanging around with or in the clubs, but Dom's still cool because he never stopped writing jokes and doing new shit and also hanging out and being a part of the culture. There's a danger in like success where you stay off the streets in a weird way, that's what's so great about being a comic is like any given day you could go hang out at the Comedy Store tonight. Everyone would be like, yay!
I went one night to do the Kill Tony.
Yeah,
and I literally hung out and I had such a fucking great time.
Yeah,
and
it's like nourishment in a weird way because you're just a part of everyone's feelings
don't need to do a
and
set.
their
You
thoughts.
just go and get some beers.
Yeah,
Someone's
I went
always
and fucking bombed. There's 6 people there on Monday. I ate it with this new bit about pugs, and then I went up and watched the Kill Tony podcast, and I hung out on the porch with Jesus Trejo and fucking
I
Simone.
want to do the Kill Tony podcast again. I had so much fun doing
It's so
that.
fun, but it's just a part of that. That's the thing. It's the being a part of the group that keeps you like invigorated. It's going around to like the other clubs and when you go to these other places and doing and performing, it's very, very fun. And you get it from the audience. You kind of get that feeling and you can feel invigorated. But it's that hanging out with your friends who you feel comfortable with, the comedians.
That's why I like doing the Ice House Chronicles.
Yeah.
Is you go there and it's like everyone's fucking having a good time. There's a little bit of ball busting. And you go into a room where everyone wants to see you succeed, all your friends.
Yeah.
So no one's fucking stacking the show so that you suck. It's just like, all right, you go on.
There's a real stand-up is in a great place right now.
I think so.
Where you can be any kind of stand-up you want. You can find your own little following, and you can just do your thing. It's just that's the thing. It's like you can do what kind of art, any kind of art you want. You can do anything you want. It's great. And there's money to be made.
I'm going to pay. I told Fitzsimmons I'm going to give him $5,000 to go over my next hour with me, and just sit.
Yeah.
5 shows. Going to come 5 shows. Watch me work 5 different times, and at the end, give me notes and tell me what to get rid of.
I do that for people. When my friends have an hour, they come or they'll take me on the road and like for the purpose of like you're going to watch my hour. We're going to sit and work on it.
Yeah.
If I got an hour special right now, I would take the money they paid me, and I'd hire 3 of my friends. I'd be like, guess what today is? It's make Kevin's hour perfect.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. Like
my last hour, I just got it. I was like, okay, that's an hour of material. We're good.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't rewrite it. I didn't rework it. If it wasn't broke, I wasn't. That's it right there. My set list is right there.
Yeah. I want to do a book of comedian set lists. They're always so interesting looking.
Well,
Jay Larson's are crazy looking.
Really?
All these little boxes and doodles and stuff. They're sweet looking.
Well, it's interesting because his sets aren't that interesting.
No, yeah, I mean,
by the way,
you can't meld those two.
There are certain people I will fuck with if their names come up. Eddie Ift is always my go-to.
Yeah.
If someone brings up Eddie, I always pretend that I don't find him funny.
I
think Eddie's
do that
fucking
with
great.
Ari all the time. Not so much that he's not funny, but it's just that he's not a good person.
Yeah.
And that he's human garbage, and that he's just selling garbage to the world.
What about do you know who Russ Maneve is? Russ Maneve, interestingly enough, all his set lists are drawn in art.
Huh.
And that's how he remembers the bit. Is he sees something and he's like, "Oh, clown! All right, I know
clown.
that bit."
I find that stuff out. That's the thing. It's all the same gear.
So wait, you know what's so fascinating that I'm sure everyone probably already knows, but you do all Ari's storytelling posters.
Yeah, I did all the storyteller posters.
That's great. Do you ask for anything? Like, do you not? I mean,
No.
Not for money, but I mean, like, do you ask Ari to give you some insight, or do you just do it?
He usually, actually, the fun part of that is Ari and I kind of collaborate on the idea, which I can tell he really enjoys.
Yeah.
He'll be like, it's this theme, and I'll be like, well, what about this? I'll be like, how? Like, there was one that was like revenge, so I was like, how about a hunter being skewered by a deer's antlers? And he was like, cool, can it be like this? And like he'll add a thing, and I'm like, yeah, we'll add that, or like, oh, it'd be cool if this. So we kind of talk back and forth a little via text, and then I do it, and then he changes all the names 4 hours before I have to finish it.
Oh yeah, I was on one of those. You sign it, and then he rifles it away.
Which one were you on?
I have no idea.
Okay. It was probably something to do
shitting or road stories.
Road stories. Yeah, road stories. That I hope it wasn't the poster I'm thinking. It was my least favorite.
6'5". I get nervous answering phones.
Oh, dude. No.
I see a phone number.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm afraid of my phone on the reg. Like, I don't like it.
I think it's Todd Glass.
Well,
I'd answer it if it was Todd Glass, but I'm not certain it is, and I don't want to be like, hey, how's everyone? I'd answer it in a heartbeat if it was Todd Glass.
Yeah.
He leaves the fucking best messages in the world. Oh, you think you're fucking
Todd Glass.
Let's listen to a Todd Glass message, and this is how much fun it is to get a message from Todd Glass.
He is just pure funny.
He is a child spirit.
He is purely funny all the time. I mean, when he was on Last Comic Standing, it was the best.
I did that season. I did with him, and I got to like the semifinals,
Right.
and just being around him, he was so funny and so on all the time. This is Todd's messages. Hang on.
He's just like, you're like, oh, you know who's like that too? David Allen Greer.
Here, wait. Hold on.
Oh my God, you must be rich. Because only rich people don't have to say, I'm out of the country. Don't leave a message. I'll be back. Email me, please. Hang up before it reaches 60 seconds or I get charged. I'm roaming. Don't hang up now. Don't even wait for me to finish talking. Don't.
This message goes on for another 4 fucking minutes.
That's what I'm saying. The lifestyle you just played to your phone got you a Rolex. Made of gold. Mine's made of steel. Yours is made of gold.
I got one of those too.
Yeah. All right, calm down. With a two-tone date chest, you still have that?
Yeah. Fuck
Do you have
yeah.
another one?
No, just those two, and then
Okay.
By
the way, I have a date chest also, so calm down.
It's a good.
Yeah, the two-tone's nice.
Yeah, that was my first watch.
Yeah.
My dad gave it but my dad gave it to me when he thought he was dying. that sounds really weird. And by the way, I don't want to talk about the loss of your dad.
Okay.
So like, if anyone's like, hey, how come you brought it up? Because I listened to it and it's heartbreaking.
Listen to WTF.
Yeah, listen to Mark Maron's. You talk about it. It's very honest, and it's like it's not my podcast.
No.
Like I'm not that kind of.
We're not going to learn anything new about it. There are no new developments.
No.
Yeah.
There are no new developments. Yeah, it's it's going to happen to everyone at one point. One point, I'll die. My kids will deal with it, and it's just one of those things that the inherent sadness in life is that this doesn't go on forever.
It's the catch-22 of life. Is literally everyone you know will die.
It's just like I remember my first TV show got canceled.
Yeah.
And Mark Cronin was like, "Oh, buddy, you got to get used to this. They all get canceled."
I mean, I remember the first time I got fired. It was I was the guest starring on Yes Dear, and Billy Gardell actually that day was talking to his dad. He was like, "Yeah, I got fired from a thing," and I started to explain to him what they tell you. He's like, "Oh, that wasn't right." He's like, bullshit. You got shit canned. You were off your game." And he was like, "Yeah," and then I got fired like 4 hours later.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I was like, "Well," and then like I got fired again like 6 months later, and it really shook my brain. But it was like, all right. And then I talked to him. I was like, oh, yeah, you're not a fucking you're not in show business. So you've been fired a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to get over it. I mean, I've seen people get fired at table reads. I was once flanked by 2 people who both lost their job at a table read for
serious?
a pilot. Yeah, and you can feel it happening. It's just part of it. Chris Rock said it in some interviews, like, you're always auditioning. All the time.
Yeah.
There is no relax in that. There's no relax. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I met George Lopez at a table read 15 years ago, and he was talking about taking Mencia out as a feature and how this young kid, Carlos, was kicking his ass on stage. And he's like, I had to fucking wake up because this guy was killing me.
Really?
Yeah. It never goes away. I mean, every once in a while I'll be featuring for someone. If I don't know them, I'm like, I'm going to do tonight and make it a little hard.
That's
If
by
you're
the
not
way,
nice to me,
yeah. That's a wake up call when you have a hard time following someone.
Yeah.
And you're just like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's why I bring Fultron on the road with me. Zing! Zing!
Fultron can still heel flip. He can land a heel flip today.
Yeah, he can.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Motherfucker can heel flip.
Yeah. I meant to tell you this. I got distracted listening to you. What kind of podcast is this?
Also, I took my shirt off.
I started skateboarding again at like 30 years old.
Yeah.
I went out and got a small board and I started just straight up skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my buddy Croy, and we were like, "Fuck it, let's do this. Let's just get small boards. Let's learn how to do kick flips.
Yeah.
Let's learn how to do ollie. Let's start with ollies. I never even got to learn how to ollie, but like, and then I was like, and then let's take them to bars. And we went to the Snake Pit, and the woman took my skateboard away. She's like, "You are too drunk to be skateboarding." She's like, "You're gonna break an arm, and I'm not letting you do this."
When I was a kid and I used to skate the pipeline in Upland, there was a guy who was 60 years old, and he
Really?
would skate. Yeah, there was a video got posted online the other day. It's a guy, and he's in this like Northern California, and he just started skateboarding. He's 65,
Holy shit!
and he's clearly done a lot of yoga, and he just has this flowy
I
style
need
where
to
he
do
skates
some fucking
poles.
yoga today.
Dude, and fucking as soon as I'm done with this next job, I'm gonna pick up my board and go skating. It's fucking it's vital. And I'm not trying to do tricks, but just the movement. Just the flowing, it puts you can't focus on anything else because you will eat shit.
Oh, I take my longboard and I stand Isla at the toe.
Yeah.
And I hold her fingers, and we'll go and we'll just cruise, and she loves it.
It feels great. And I mean, I've gotten much more into skateboarding in like the last year because I did skate designs for this company.
What company?
Toy Machine.
Okay.
And that was like the best. I can't even really describe how great that was. Like some childhood dream shit. Like when I went to the factory, I told them they could pay me in decks, which is so dumb. But like, so I was gonna get 80 of them, and when I went to go pick them up, like I put them in my car, and then I just sat there and wept. Because like I was like, no, you don't get. I was trying to explain it to a girl. I was like, you don't understand. Like this is when I was 12. I was like, if I could ever get a drawing on a skateboard, that would be fucking it.
Yeah.
So and for a Toy Machine's one of the coolest. I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like that's I don't want to get over that shit.
Yeah.
Like it was like when do you get like something like that at like my age to have like a experience like that? It was so fucking great. I couldn't even handle it. And then I drove from San Diego where I got the boards to Huntington Beach, where like the guy who owns the company, Ed Templeton, he's a really famous skater. I was like, we're going to put together the Ed Templeton design, and then you're going to do a trick, Ed Templeton on your Ed Templeton board. I'm going to film it with my fucking phone. Like this is so, and I did. I was like, this is so fucking great. Like this is craziness.
Yeah.
And like that's and honestly, the reason I got to do that was from being a stand-up.
Really?
I could draw. I became friends with Ed. Ed and his wife like stand-up, so they go anytime they go see it all the time, and they found out I was a comedian. They'd go see me, and they would read my Twitter on road trips.
Your Twitter is fucking. By the way, I don't think I did enough justice by going, yeah, you got a really funny Twitter.
Oh, thanks.
Your Twitter is fucking hilarious.
Twitter's really fun to me still. And they would read my Twitter on road trips, and his wife Deanna was like, why don't you have Kevin do like a series of designs based on Twitter jokes? It's like that, because we were talking about maybe me doing something. She's like, you should do a series based on Twitter jokes. And I was like, oh fuck, it's a good idea. And that's why I was able to do it.
Well, how did you do that?
I just probably took 200 jokes. I sent them to Ed. I was like, pick 20 you like, and then I'll pick the 10 I like the best, and the ones I thought could come up with like justified the best imagery or were like inspired good imagery, and then we just weeded it down, and then I did the designs, and then I just did the drawings.
All right, I'm seeing if I can pull up some of your Twitter jokes. There's got to be like.
Am I good today? All I did today was therapy set list.
I did therapy set list.
Every time I go to therapy, I do a set list.
It's nice that you go Kevin Christy art, Kevin Christy comedian.
Yeah. Oh, I did therapist set.
10 hilarious tweets from comedian Kevin Christy.
Really? Oh,
Yep.
yeah, I think I know who put that together.
I don't care what my tattoos will look like when I'm old. If someone wants to see my body at that age, they've made the mistake, not me.
It's true. You're gross.
I also want background checks for buying an acoustic guitar. Women are portrayed worse in yogurt commercials than in porn.
That's absolutely true. Have you ever seen in yogurt commercials, they're so pleased. They're like, they make them seem like they're so dependent on the taste of this yogurt. They're like, oh, I had an eclair yogurt today. Like, your life is so sad that that's all you have? Like, no, you have way more going on than this.
Whenever I see a hitchhiker, this is great. I think they're giving me the thumbs up for being too smart to pick up an obvious murderer.
That was one of the skate designs.
Oh, really?
So that one, it's one of the characters of the company. He's holding his thumbs up, but there's a knife in his hand, and he's the devil, and there's blood like dripping off the knife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking
And I put
great.
the jokes on like the top of the board and the graphics on the bottom.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Yeah, like they let me put the joke on top, which they cost them extra to do separate screens for the top of the boards.
Oh, really?
Like, it was fucking, I couldn't, it's like, that's some shit. Like, if someone would have told me that when I was a kid, I'd be like, you are mean for lying. Like, no, you're going to be a comedian, and then as the cool skate company is going to let you combine your jokes and your drawings, and then they're going to make skateboards. And, like, when they came out maybe 6 months ago, I would search online and like on Instagram, and I'd see dudes like there was a video of a kid kick flipping on one of my boards, like got this new toy machine set up. Like, that's fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
Or like the pros, the guys who skate their own deck, like I can't even deal with it. Because when I think about the way the role those boards and those graphics played in my life as a young kid, like my parents or my dad taking me to a skate shop, me going, I want the Tony Hawk board, getting it and just staring at it.
Yeah.
I used to just stare at the there was
What was that graphic of Tony Hawk? It's like
it was a hawk skull, iron cross behind it.
Yeah.
But then also for my birthday, I got the Ray Barbie pal board, which is a ragdoll drawing.
Yeah, I remember that.
But and I couldn't unless it was contingent on a report card or something. I couldn't keep it if I got no Fs or something. I got shitty grades.
Yeah.
But I still knew where it was, so my parents would leave the house. I'd take it out of the closet and I would just stare at it. I would just stare at the graphic because it was this guy Sean Cliver drew it, and I was like, this drawing is so. I would just draw it and draw it and draw it and draw it. I would just look at these graphics like I can't even deal with how cool these are. Those PAL graphics, those Santa Cruz graphics, GNS, Zorlak, Pusshead, all those guys. You just look at those graphics, Vision Streetwear, and you'd be like, I don't know how to make this yet. That's the thing. I would look at it and I'd be like, I think I'm a person who can make this stuff, but I don't know how yet. And so it's so fucking great. You'd look at the color and you're like, and it's a skateboard. You go rip on it.
Yeah.
And then you see some guy ripping on a piece of art. It's like a guy surfs on a painting. You're just like, what the fuck? This is too good.
I remember when I got my first surfboard, I was like, whoa. What are you talking about? What size board?
Yeah.
Look at the designs.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
That's the thing. They go together. And they go together more than just the fact that it's on the board. It's all part of the culture. It's all the thing. Each company has its own style. Each company has its own feel. Their writers have their own feel. Are they dirtbags? Are they fancy? Are they making money? Are they like guys in a van? It's so similar to stand-up.
I definitely was. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. I definitely think when I look at like comedians, I think they could have a shirt that is them. Like that's the closest you can get as a shirt.
I was talking to Jesus Trejo, and he was like, I think I want to do a shirt for when I do gigs. I was like, you should. And then he was like, I did some drawings to think of what I might look like. And I looked at the drawings. I was like, you should use your own drawings.
Yeah.
I was like, they're fucking cool.
Yeah.
They're unique to you. And like, someone will feel like they're buying a piece of you, as opposed to if I do it, it'll just be my version of your version.
Did you do Ari's shirt with the acid on the tongue?
No, that was Mike Maxwell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know Mike.
So. He's super good.
Yeah, he's really great.
I can't fucking use the computer to make art. I don't know how. So, like, when people need, like, a quick turnaround T-shirt, I literally don't have the ability.
So, wait, what do? You
just do everything by hand.
And then you go, here, take this?
I colored the toy machine decks in the computer. It took me... I could have painted them 10 times in the time it took me to do it in the computer.
Serious?
In fact, when I took him to Ed to show him... I took him the files. He opened them up, and you can like seal layers. He's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" I was so bad at Illustrator, the program, that I just had to keep going over the top of things, fixing my mistakes. He was like, "These are like they worked." But he's like, "These are a crazy mess."
Yeah.
Because I just didn't know what I was doing. And now the program changed. I don't know how to do it again. I have to relearn for the next graphics I do.
It's so funny. I was gonna have my daughters just draw a bear. I'm obsessed with this bear. I'll see if I don't think I have it on my phone anymore.
Have them draw bears, man. They'll be fucking
I just traced
sweet.
one, and my wife's like, "I like that one the best." The one I traced. I was like, "I think you might have to go." I think that was the problem with what's the street art guy.
With Obey?
The guy, yeah, and
Shepard
he did the
he borrowed a AP photograph of our president. Well, he got in trouble because he lied.
Really?
And the copyright infringement is when you make multiples. You can do something once and you get away with it fine. Like, he could have taken that guy's photo, blown it up, sold it in the gallery, and got away with it. But it's when you make multiples and sell them. That's where the guy was like, "Hey, man, you're making money off this," which he was.
Yeah.
Those posters were expensive, and they sold out quick.
Yeah.
But then he lied in court. He didn't go to jail.
What did he say? He just
said, like, I didn't know. He just lied about, I think, his awareness or whether or not he knew or whatever.
Oh.
He's lied.
Yeah,
but
I traced a bear off the internet, and it looked really cool.
It's good. There's
Like,
copyright free.
Why do I have a fucking walkie-talkie? Is anyone hearing this? My daughter's got me walkie-talkies so we could communicate.
Yeah.
But apparently they turned one on. Yeah, maybe I'll just have Isla. Isla's got an interesting brain. You know what she did?
You guys should collab.
I don't know if I have it. Yesterday I'm signing books, and Isla said, "I want to sign some."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, Isla, I don't think anyone really wants your signature." She was like, "No, can I draw pictures?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Sure, why not?"
Yeah.
So she drew crazy fucking pictures in all these books, and I just sent them out. I was like, "All right, guys, this is a picture from Isla."
Dude, that shit, you can't. Kids' drawings, I will look at them all day. They're way better. That's I mean...
Here, you know what? When I take you back to the house, I'll show you some of Isla's drawings that Leanne's put up, because Leanne's like, "These are fucking sick."
Yeah. That's the thing. You should definitely... If you have access to kids' drawings, you should use them.
I'm going to fucking steal off Isla.
Pay
for her college.
Yeah.
She's not going to college. What are we talking about?
Sell T-shirts with her drawings that will send her to college.
Yeah.
You could easily do that. You have a large enough fan base. And that's, by the way, hilarious.
Yeah, these are shirts. This is the Isla Kreischer.
It's like we were talking about with Fitz, like his kid not thinking he's cool. It's like the minute your kid, you're like, I'm so cool I used your shitty kid drawings to send you to college.
I'm so cool you'll never be punk. You said that out there, and I was like, that's so fucking great. I'm such a good fuck. I'm so cool you'll never be punk.
Fitz told me him and his kid make skateboards by hand together.
Yeah.
You know, what's the kid going to rebel against? I remember back when I first started doing stand-up, Damon Wayans was in the store making fun of Damon Wayans Jr. at the time because he got arrested for, like, stealing. He's like, "Motherfucker, we're rich."
Yeah.
He's like, "What?" He's like, "You're going to pretend you're in a gang? We live in Beverly Hills, man." And he was clowning who's now Damon Wayans Jr., who's a fucking hilarious actor. Yeah. And also a good dude. But, yeah, it's like, what's Fitz's kid pissed about? His hilarious. It's like, I have fans, motherfucker. A lot.
That's
like a lot of fans. That's the thing. You have a lot of fans.
God.
Like, "Dad, you suck." Do I? Go on the internet and check. Yeah. Not really. In fact, I'm beloved. I'm respected and beloved by my peers and the public. I'm known as authentic, smart, and like I'm a voice of my generation. What'd you do today?
When you go to college, your kids are going to want to get drunk with me. Your friends are going to want to get drunk with me.
They're going to want, by the way, your friends are going to, some of your friends want to hang out with me, not you.
Oh,
yeah.
What fucking time is it? All right, I gotta go pick up my kids.
All right, cool.
That was a good hour 45. Look at the hummingbird.
Oh,
the hummingbird comes in and flies in here sometimes, and then flies out.
Just found out dragonflies live for
wait,
24 hours.
where's your and Neil's room?
West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica.
West Side Comedy Theater. I got to do it,
dude. Anytime. You know Sarah Mello? She works. I'll get your stuff. You should.
Yeah, I'll give you. I'll make sure you get my number. I'll text you because I want to do that. I'm fucking.
Dude, it's great. Roy's there all the time now. I host it every week.
Oh,
so
nice.
And literally the green room is like a writer's room. We just sit and help each other. It's great.
I'm so fucking.
I mean,
last
time I was there, I was out of town, but it was me, Sully McCullough, Roy Wood, Michael Palisak, and it was like a writer's room. Roy was like, "I got this thing. What's it?" And we're just helping Neil. We're just helping each other.
Oh, please!
It's fucking magical. It's a magical environment.
What's your Twitter at Kevin G. Christy.
At Kevin G. Christy on Twitter.
G stand for?
Gordon, my middle name.
Gordon?
Yeah.
You got anything else? What's your podcast?
Occasionally Awesome with Nick Youssef on All Things Comedy.
Perfect.
Please
I'm on all things
listen.
comedy.
Please listen to my podcast.
Now do one better. Go listen, rate, review.
Rate, review. Our last episode was Tripley, talk about his album.
Oh,
and then before that, we had an art episode. I go through the artists I think are ripped off too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who's the number one?
Of all time?
That ripped off the most.
Warhol.
Oh, yeah.
Bunch of lazy fuckers just taking a screen print of Marilyn Monroe or a famous person and fucking with the color, degenerating. I mean, at least right now, because it's easy to rip off.
Yeah.
He's ripped off a ton.
I feel like Warhol.
You want to, by the way, if you ever want to get Dove David off mad, tell him you love Andy Warhol.
Really?
Goes into a Tasmanian devil. He freaks
Really?
out. He hates Warhol so voraciously he can't take it.
Why?
I don't know.
Dove's a really fucking fascinating dude.
He's fascinating, dude. He gets so mad. I mean, I'll be standing at the Comedy Store, and out of nowhere, I'll have not spoken to him yet. I'll not know he's there. He'll be like, and another thing about Warhol and why he's a fucking piece of shit. I'm like, oh, hey, Dev, how's it going? Because he's been stewing all day.
About Warhol.
Yeah, Basquiat ripped off a ton, too.
I appreciate you doing this, man. Thank you very
for
much.
having me so much. This was so fun.
This is a fucking blast.
man.
Thank you. Go see us. Go to his podcast. Listen to it. Rate, review. Westside Comedy.
Westside Comedy Theater, Sunday nights, 9 p.m.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.